Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the NSC Wrestling and Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Chris Canfield, aka Big C, and let's talk about the Raw after SummerSlam. The show kicked off with Roman Reigns cutting a promo. And, he's been doing a hell of a job with that recently. Until it was immediately interrupted by L.A. Knight. Yeah. L.A. Knight comes out there and basically tells Roman that, he's ready for his title shot. He wants it. It's something that he deserves because the bloodline has screwed him so much over the past couple of years. Roman, in retort, says, you get in the back of the line. What have you done? Wow. You won a 6-man tag against my cousins. Whoop-de-doo. Good for you. L.A. Knight says, I've been busting my hump out here, doing things that you haven't been. I've earned my stripes. I deserve this title match. So, you can either buy a pair, if you can't grow a pair, and give me a shot, and I'll slap you back to factory settings. Yeah! But I thought the promo itself was really good. I thought that L.A. Knight does have a gripe, and it's rightfully so. But the thing about it is, while he's over with the crowd, is he really main event worthy? Best case scenario, this happens at Money in the Bank in a couple months on the line to basically give this story time to build up, to catch some fire and see where it goes. Hopefully, the momentum from SummerSlam doesn't slow down Knight at all, as he did pick up the win. I think there's another small appeal. I think it's a Saturday night's main event between now and Money in the Bank. And I think that's way too soon for a title match between Reigns and Knight. I think the best case scenario is Money in the Bank. Let it build up. Let it simmer a little bit. Get all the flavoring it needs so that's a tasty little morsel. Now, do I think L.A. Knight will beat Roman Reigns? As much as I would like to see him with the title, I just don't think that it's going to happen. L.A. Knight is over with the crowd. He is extremely over. But he has been for quite some time. I mean, that's why he is the megastar. But we'll see where that goes through and how the story unfolds. We had a match between All Ego Ethan Page and Javon Evans. And I love Ethan Page, I really do. I loved him when he was back in TNA as part of the North with Josh Alexander. They were tag team champs. Alpha One Wrestling, independent promotion, when he was with AEW. NXT, of course, he's a former NXT champ, former NXT North American champ, former AAA mixed tag team champ with Chelsea Green. I think he has a lot to offer, and unfortunately, it wasn't his night as Javon Evans picked up the win. But the interesting thing was after the fact. Big CASS debuted. Now, we've seen vignettes for him past couple of weeks. We knew exactly he was showing up. We knew the date he was showing up. looks in phenomenal shape, just like he did when he was a TNA and then with AEW as Big Bill and TNA as W. Morrissey. He's really taken to his fitness. I mean, he looks absolutely phenomenal. Comes out and just destroys Evans. Completely destroys him. You know, when I was talking with the other host, the Filipina killer, the natural, John C., we was kind of hoping that Enzo would show up. It didn't happen. I don't know if that's going to be in the works. I think as far as the physical presence goes, Big Cass definitely has it, but he always has. I mean, you can't teach that being 7 feet tall. But so Big Cass shows up, demolishes poor little Javon Evans, all 180, 190 pounds of him. I mean, like, it's nothing. So that was a nice little surprise little debut. And then we head back and we see Roman Reigns scolding the Bloodline for losing against LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys in that 6-man tag at SummerSlam. We then have Judgment Day. The women's champ, Liv Morgan. The Intercontinental champion, Raquel Rodriguez. And Roxanne Perez. They appear for a promo where Liv Morgan congratulated Raquel Rodriguez on winning the women's Intercontinental title from Sol Ruca. Morgan then said that since there are no challengers, she will become the longest reigning women's world champion of all time. Just then, Sol Ruca comes out to go against Roxanne Perez, while Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan are there. Sol Ruca, I mean, what can you say about Sol Ruca? She's probably one of the most athletically gifted female wrestlers in the WWE today. She ends up winning, but due to disqualification from the rest of the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day beats on freaking Sol Ruca, and we hear the man has come back around. Becky Lynch shows up. We haven't seen Becky Lynch since she lost the title to Sol Ruca a few months ago. She's taken some time off. She comes back, and, I'm like, is she a heel again? Is she still a heel? But no, she comes back as a babyface. She confronts the Judgment Day, grabs the mic, and tells Morgan that she is having the worst title reign of all time. Morgan says that Lynch is jealous because she was the greatest champion of all time. Lynch retorts and says she's not even the best champion in her faction. And then she says she's not even the best champion that has slept with Dominic Mysterio. I mean, wow, the burn, right? Like, that is some vicious comebacks. I honestly chuckled uncontrollably listening to that. Morgan disregarded the comments. Her and the rest of Judgment Day start walking back up the entrance ramps to get through, and all of a sudden, we hear Stephanie Vaquer's music. She laid out the entire Judgment Day on her own, headed to the ring, grabs a mic, and starts spewing some fire. Her and Becky Lynch lock up eyes to eyes. Neither one is flinching. You both know what they want. They want the title. Stephanie hasn't been seen since she's lost the championship at WrestleMania. So she's been gone for quite a few months. Her English has gotten so much better. She looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, what can you say? She has one of the fastest rises that I've seen in a women wrestler. Think about it. She debuts a year and a half, 2 years ago on NXT. Becomes the NXT Women's Champ and North American Champ. Goes up to the main roster. Ends up having a title match due to Liv Morgan being injured. Yeah, Liv Morgan being injured. Last year it was. She ends up winning, holds the title, defends it regularly until WrestleMania. We then see Obafemi coming out to cut a promo. He wasn't in his normal gear. He was dressed in all white, like saint-like. I thought he did a good job. He basically gave praise to Brock Lesnar as a torch was passed down to him, and Oba vowed to take down the old guard, and he would take down anyone who tried to get in his way. After that promo, he was confronted by Braun Breaker on the rap. I mean, Braun Breaker was supposed to be in the fold to be the next big thing. Unfortunately, he had some injuries. But I mean, you think about Braun Breaker's rise, right? An NXT champion, NXT tag champ. He wins the Intercontinental Champion on the main roster, has numerous title opportunities, starts the division up with Seth Rollins, ends up taking over the division, gets injured. It's kind of a bad hand he was dealt. He sustained 2 different injuries. But he comes back and he ends up having a fight against Joe Hendry. I mean, just squashes Joe Hendry. And I don't know what's going on with that. Joe Hendry, former TNA World Champion, former NXT Champion. I don't understand why bring him in to just do concerts, to be like a sidekick. Why not give him a push? As much as I love to say that I think it was the right move for him to go to WWE, it really wasn't. The same can be said about Jordan Grace, or pretty much any TNA talent that has left TNA to go to WWE. They really haven't been used properly. It's kind of discerning to a degree. Especially, like, you think about it, right? Joe Hendry made his not NXT, but WWE debut at WrestleMania 41 against Randy Orton. Gets squashed in like less than a minute and a half. First time anybody ever seen him in WWE main roster. And since he's been on the main roster, he's absolutely done nothing, really. It's just sad. But anyways, so Braun Breaker destroys Joe Hendry. Austin Theory and Maxime Dupree, after the match, start attacking Joe Hendry when Akira Tozawa shows up and the heels are sent running. Big Cass was interviewed backstage with Cass saying that Javon Evans will not be the last one to be laid out. He's there to stack bodies. You know, I believe, just physically wise, he's definitely able to do that. And hopefully he's able to do that in other ways. Chad Gable appeared for a promo and thanked the fans for their support over the past 10 years. Penta then appeared and congratulated Gable on his title win, but Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough interrupted and immediately confronted Gable and Penta, leading to this tag match that happened next between Penta, Gable against the Judgment Day's Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough, which Penta and Gable came out victorious. You know, before SummerSlam, there was a lot going on that, there wasn't for sure. Penta wasn't for sure what to take of Gable and how he is. But obviously, after SummerSlam, the respect was there for Chad Gable with Penta and most of the other luchadors. The respect that Chad Gable has gained since he lost his mask on AAA in the Mask versus Match mask, and how his entire character has changed to where he totally respects everything the luchadors have, their customs, their rituals. It is completely and totally awesome. I am happy that all that has been taken care of, I guess, to a degree. We'll see where this goes for Chad Gable. We'll see if he does appear on AAA in the near future with his Intercontinental Championship. Maybe on the line, maybe not. But overall, it's good to see him starting to receive some sort of praise for all the time and all the gimmicks that he has gone through and how he's always made them work. We then cut backstage where Braun Breaker met with Paul Heyman to ask where Obafemi was. Heyman said he did not know, which led to Breaker saying that he thought Heyman knew since Femi was his new friend. Very interesting. While Paul Heyman has kind of distanced himself from the Vision, he was the one who really pushed for Braun Breaker to be the new man at WWE. And the past couple weeks, he really hasn't been there. I mean, obviously, due to the whole Brock Oba situation. And of course, it's going to stick with, Brock Lesnar. I mean, they've been together, tied at the hip, numerous times. Like, how many times has Paul left, found another, superstar, come back to Brock? It's just, they're like an old married couple. So, it's interesting to say the least, hearing Breaker say that. And where is that going to lead between Breaker and Obafemi? The ruler just conquered the beast. The beast is no more. He is retired officially. He said he's retired on the Pat McAfee show on ESPN after a 23-year career. And he deserves it. He really does. I mean, he's done everything there is for the sport. The interesting fact and take is that every championship that Brock Lesnar has won has been a world heavyweight champion. He's never been United States, never been Intercontinental, never been a tag, never been a 24/7. He's only won the major prize. Now, he has won Money in the Bank, he has won Royal Rumbles, but individual titles, nothing but heavyweights. Creme de la creme. Maybe he might make a one-off appearance here and there, but I don't think so. I think he is truly done, and he is content with where his career will go. We then go to the main event. The street fight between Bloodline member, the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu, versus his longtime childhood friend, Royce Keys. This was a car crash, a train wreck. All right, let's go train wreck, yeah. When a volcano meets a hurricane. There it is. It was everything you could ask for between two athletically gifted big men. Big, meaty men slapping meat. Jacob, throughout the match, kept on saying, "You made me do this. I'm supposed to do this. I was told to do this," following the orders from the OTC, Roman Reigns. And it was pure chaos. The storytelling told there was that it wasn't that he wanted to, it was that he had to. And I think we've all been in that position to where, even if we were kids, where we didn't want to do it, but, your parents say, clean your room, quit playing with your wrestling toys, put them away. Or as my wife would say, Christopher, get out of your toy room. And you say, okay, shrugs down, but you have to do it. And this is the take I got off it. But after the match is where it really got personal. Jacob Fatu puts the Tongan death grip on his so-called friend, causing Royce Key to spill out blood from his mouth. Now, if you remember what happened a couple months ago between Jacob Fatu before he became in the Bloodline versus Roman Reigns, when he was trying to go after the title, he ended up using a Tongan death grip on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns was like, this is only used for enemies. So is that saying now that Royce Keys is his enemy? If you're not part of the Bloodline, you are the enemy? I don't know. I wish I did. So after this happens, of course, the producers, security, GMs, everybody runs out to the ring. Because Royce Keys is on the ground, blood's coming out of his mouth. You see Roman Reigns giving the nod, like, good job. I'm not for sure exactly how to take that. I don't know which way Roman is going, the OTC. But he ends up, decimating Royce Keys, leaves the ring. Roman starts walking out back. Cameras are following him. and we see him talking to WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, who, might I add, is also the GM of AAA. And he says he wanted to run something past him. Broadcast ended. What was that question, Ray? We need answers. Overall, it was a very, very, very good Raw after SummerSlam event. Some questions were answered. Some questions are still in the air. Some great returns, Stephanie Vaquer, Becky Lynch, Big CASS. Some great matches as always. What's going to happen with LA Knight and Roman Reigns? And what was that question that what does Ray want to speak to Roman about? Anyways, food for thought, guys. We'll be back soon enough. This is Chris Canfield, a.k.a. Big C, with the NSC Wrestling and Gaming Podcast, telling you all to have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and peace out.